What's up, everybody? Let's go ahead. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it. Let's get this thing started. You already see what's going on in the title and the thumbnail, so you know where we're going with this one today. R. Kelly. R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years after a 30-year run of racketeering and manlawing or whatever they got him for. I said it once, I said it before. R. Kelly is guilty of many things. The stuff that they got him for is practically nothing. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But welcome on in. Welcome. Hit the like button, whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. Strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Where's my intro? Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's up, good people? What's up, good people? We are back. We are in the building. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Got a number of things on the table. Y'all see the main thing. Y'all see the main thing going down. Shout out to TD Hutch in the building. We gonna go there. We're gonna walk right through that when you already know. He says, now they need to go after the parents that sold they kids. And all of a sudden, since the money ran out, they are up in arms. Jason Van Dyke got 5 years for killing a kid. He's out now. R gets the smoke. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna definitely get into that. But shout out to you, TD Hutch. Shout out to Educated Lame. Shout out to Feminine Melanin. Shout out to is that Blizzak? He says, wake your simp ass up. Who you calling a simp? Not just playing. But yeah, no, we about to dig all into this, about to break a lot down, a lot of the R. Kelly going on, and want to really break down what he's actually being charged with, what he's actually being charged for, because a lot of what he's getting charged for is, it's not is weird. And I've broke this down before, how it's a lot of stuff that he's done It's a lot of stuff that he's done. He's done enough stuff to get locked up for 30 years, but he beat the charges. Part of what TD Hutch was alluding to, because he was paying off people. Everybody was enjoying the lifestyle. The parents and the minors involved. They was enjoying the lifestyle. He was getting everybody was getting paid. Everybody was getting money. And charges weren't pressed, or charges were dropped, or charges were settled out of court, or so he was walking away scot free. He's walking away scot free. That's what was happening all that time. That's why they weren't able to get him on any of the other stuff. But now, now they're able to make something stick. But the stuff that they were able to make stick, in my opinion, was some nonsense. In my opinion, was some nonsense. But so we about to be getting into a lot of things here. About to be getting into a lot of things here. So let's go ahead and get ready to go. I'm trying to find. There's a number of things that I gotta locate here. I'm already laughing at this one. All right, this okay. We're gonna start off on a lighthearted note. We're gonna start off on a lighthearted note because I do gotta highlight this. I do gotta highlight this because this is kind of messed up, but also kind of funny at the same time. Kind of messed up, but kind of funny at the same time. But um, Bill Cosby, as we get into this picture just got very timely posted. All right. This picture of Bill Cosby got posted in very, very timely, I must say. Very timely convenience. It says Bill Cosby, after 2 years and 10 months fighting for my life. Like R. Kelly said, after he quoted R. Kelly in this one. After 2 years, 10 months fighting for my life and the truth, 1 year of freedom home with my family sure looks good on me. At least that's what my wife says. He done posted this this is basically the I'm glad it ain't me right now picture. how, how he gonna post this right now? Somebody right here in the comment section, somebody with a check mark like, Bill, you better lay low. You better lay low. In that Whitney Houston voice. But why would he post this right now? R. Kelly done got sentenced for 30 years, and Bill, this is basically the I'm glad it ain't me picture. Like, come on, Bill, lay low, just keep a low profile. You ain't gotta try to stun on him and make a scene. That's what Bill Cosby doing right now. Straight clowning. Right, uneducated lame. He's straight clowning. Then he could have posted this anytime. It was any time he could have posted this. He gonna post it right now. After 2 years and 10 months of fighting for my life, that's an R. Kelly quote. After 2 years and 10 months of fighting for my life and the truth, 1 year of freedom, home with my family, sure looks good on me. He was like, I'm free. I can't say the same for R. Kelly, but my ass is free right now. That's what he owned right there with that one. That is what he's on right now. That is what he's on. But shout out to everybody in the building. But as promised in the title and the thumbnail, we gonna go through this. We're gonna cycle through this bad boy almost on a timeline type of scale, on a timeline type of deal. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through this from A to Z, from beginning to end, all of the accusations, all of the stuff that he was charged up with. We're gonna get all of that laid out as soon as I find it. We're gonna get all of that laid out. Give me a second. I don't know why it'd be so hard for me to find stuff. I think this is it. This is not it. That is not the one. That is not the one that I'm looking for. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be valuable eventually in this conversation, but not exactly at the moment. Not exactly at the moment. It says R. Kelly should use his time to write a book or new songs, or new some or new some new songs, or write some new songs. I think you're trying to say. Um, I heard from somewhere that he may only do 10 years. So theoretically, he could possibly come out and theoretically he could possibly get out and have and still be able to make some music. Who knows? But I remember Tupac said when Tupac was in jail, everybody he said everybody thought he was going to be in there writing all kind of amazing lyrics when he was locked up, and he said it really don't work like that. He said it's hard to be creative. You can't draw no inspiration in there. He said your creativity is shot. Your creativity is shot. So it's not as easy and open and shut as you think to be like, oh, I'm locked up. I'm about to be in here writing. Tupac was saying he couldn't write in jail. He was able to write when he got out, but he said he couldn't write while he was in there. So it varies from person to person. It varies from person to person on that. So we don't know. We don't know when it comes to R. Kelly. We don't know. And that ain't even the important part. That's really not the important part. So we're not gonna overthink or analyze that one. However, what we are going to get into is him being sentenced 30 years. Him being sentenced 30 years. Whether or not that's right, whether or not that makes sense. In a weird way, I actually do think he should probably be walking free. And that's actually a tough sell. That's actually a tough sell. But I'm not R. Kelly's advocate because, like I said, he's done enough stuff to be locked up. But through loopholes in the system that people, particularly people with money, exploit all the time, he was able to get off. So nothing that they charged him with, nothing that they got him on, is actually something worth 30 years. Nothing that they actually got him on is worth 30 years. That's just blatantly clear and blatantly obvious. But we about to get in that. Dane C in the building says, be our salute. Nah, R. Kelly got multiple cases to come. There's other stuff coming down the pipeline. There is still other stuff coming down the pipeline. I mean, they trying to throw everything they can at him. They trying to throw everything they can at him. But we about to go ahead and get into it. I think I got it. Okay, I got it queued up. So let's go. Not here. Right here. We about to go in timeline order of everything and lead all the way up to the recent allegations. I mean, the recent sentencing that R. Kelly is getting hit with. Now, we all know the first thing he did, that was in August 31st, 1994, when he was 27. He marries 15-year-old singer Aaliyah in a secret ceremony. The marriage is annulled months later because Aaliyah was underage. We know how that worked. We are all familiar with that one. Now they go on to say he did a couple of other things, November 1996. This ain't really the important part right here, but that was when he wrote, what he got his Grammy for. I Believe I Can Fly, released the soundtrack of Space Jam, peaks at number 2 on the Billboard pop charts, and the song goes on to become a classic of the R&B genre. The same year, R. Kelly married Andrea Lee, 22, a dancer from his touring company. They go on to have 3 children. All right. Not the important part, because we only trying to look at the allegations. The first set of allegations actually came down the pipeline. Tiffany Hawkins, this was a high school student, an aspiring singer. She sues R. Kelly for $10 million and alleges they began having sex in 1991 when he was 24 and she was 15. Now, she sued him for $10 million. He didn't get he didn't get charged with that. He didn't get charged for that. because he paid her off. What did he pay her off? She sued for $10 million. What did she get? $250,000. The lawsuit is settled for $250,000. Kelly denies any wrongdoing, according to Chicago Sun-Times. The article next month. Kelly wins 3 Grammy Awards for "I Believe I Can Fly." Now, that is the reoccurring theme that we will. I apologize. I had to get my water on deck. Ready to go. That is going to be the reoccurring theme. The reason why he was able to walk free for so long, because everybody who tried to sue him, they settled out of court. They just kept settling out of court. That was pretty much the story of his career. He'd have sex with an underage girl, a teenager, 15, 16. I think in some cases all the ones that's reported here say 15. 15 is the youngest they said. You have sex with a 15-year-old. I had access to these 15-year-olds. A whole nother story. How he had access to these 15-year-olds. I'll let y'all use y'all imagination about where the parents was at in the whole works. I'll let y'all use y'all imagination on that. But he had access to these 15-year-olds, which means that the parents was in on it. As far as I'm concerned, when the whole situation ended, they tried to sue. They sued for trying to get millions. He offered his routine $250,000. They went away. That was pretty much the game. That was pretty much the dance that they did fairly consistently, as we're going to see here. That was pretty much the dance that they did. That's why there are no charges on him have been able to stick. It said the Hawkins lawsuit settled for $250,000, and Kelly denies any wrongdoing, according to Chicago Sun-Times articles. The next month, Kelly wins 3 Grammys for "I Believe I Can Fly." Now, all the way in 2000, citing court records and interviews, reports that Kelly used his position of fame and influence as a pop superstar to meet girls as young as 15 and have sex with them. Like I said, I'm not defending R. Kelly's actions. He's done enough to where he deserved to be locked up. If you have money to settle out of court, you could settle the dispute out of court. That's a loophole in the law where if you got money, you can get away with shit because you can settle out of court with the victim. That's how he been getting down. August 2001, Tracy Sampson, who interned at Epic Records when she was a teenager, files a lawsuit against Kelly alleging their sexual contact was illegal under Illinois law because he was in a position of authority over her. Again, that one. Notice they didn't say her age right there with that one. They're using the same rules why a college professor can't have sex with a 19-year-old student, even though she's a legal adult. He's in a position of authority over her. They're using essentially that rule. I don't know if that applies in terms of a record label. Just like a supervisor at a job can have sex. Well, he could get fired, but you can't really bring him up on criminal charges. He could just get fired. So again, that one, they shouldn't have nothing, but the lawsuit was settled in 2002 for, you guessed it, $250,000. That was his standard. That was the go away buyout money. They got money while they was there. The parents got money while they was there. The girl got money while they was there. When it came time to buy out, $250,000 was his standard buyout. That's what he was doing. Kelly's attorney told NBC News in 2019 that he did not represent the artist when Sampson alleges she was abused, but he was adamant that his client has done nothing wrong. Moving forward to 2002, Chicago Sun-Times report, the music critic and reporter Jim DeRogatis anonymously received a 29-minute videotape. This is an infamous sex tape. Anonymously, a 29-minute videotape alleging showing R. Kelly having sex with a minor. The newspaper reports that Chicago police stated investigating allegations about the singer and the same girl 3 years earlier. The same day the Sun Times article published, Kelly performs at the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics. So that was the infamous sex tape that, if you're around my age, you saw it. Yep, you saw it. You saw it. And that was his ad. That was him. That was him. Why Tally Young Tally says, Bernard, you was right about it being a skit. Bullseye. You the only one that didn't fall for the baby mama McDonald's nonsense. Oh yeah. I can call those skits a mile away. I could call the way you could tell when it's real, the conversation just be all over the place and more ratchet when it's real. When you could tell it's fake when somebody sounds like they're reading lines of dialogue. When they're saying things to make it sound, when they're saying things where it sounds like they're trying to make sure you understand the plot. I'm bringing food for my kid. You have 3 other kids that are not mine. You want me to bring food for them, but I don't have to do, like, in movies, in bad movies, they do that with poorly written dialogue. They like spell it out for the audience so the audience can understand the plot. Now, Uneducated Lame is right in what he's saying in the chat room. The situation happened, so it was worth covering. It was worth talking about. It was worth dealing with. So it's not like, if somebody is trying to make an argument, see, it ain't real. No reason to trip. No, it is a reason to trip and analyze that. It is a reason to trip and analyze that. But there's always telltale signs that something is essentially some nonsense. There's always those telltale signs when you look at it and you could just clearly see. You can clearly see that, I'm going to expose him, and then a video pull up and the faces are blurred out. It's all kind of, it's like they're not trying to expose shit. But anyway, June 5th, 2002, Kelly is indicted in Chicago on child pornography charges related to the sex tape that was received by the Sun Times. He later pleads not guilty and released on $750,000 bail. Andrea Kelly requests an order of protection from her husband, accusing him of striking her when she told him she wanted a divorce. Says, my wife and I had a heated argument and we are now in the process of working it out, Kelly said in the public statement. At the time, we hope that the press and public will give us time and privacy. We need to resolve this personal issue. That part, not really that important. I mean, that ain't got nothing to do with the allegations. That's more to do with, him and his wife, because he was married through a lot of this nonsense. He was married through a lot of this nonsense. That's between him and his wife and their little, domestic shit going on in the house. But in 2008, now this is kind of important right here. The Kelly's child pornography trial begins more than 5 years after he was indicted. It begins more than 5 years after he indicted. Kelly is acquitted on all counts in the child pornography case after the jury deliberates for less than a full day. He was acquitted on all counts. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that one. Let me pull this up right here. Why is that showing like that? That is bullshitting. I wanted to read that exactly so I can get the exact words, but now it's like bullshitting and not letting me pull up what I needed to pull up. Basically, he was acquitted on that one because they were able to confirm. They all agreed that was him in the tape, but they weren't exactly 100% sure if that was the same girl, if that was the victim in the tape. That's what they said, and that's how he got off on that one. So that's basically the story right there. I wanted to read it word for word. I wanted to read it word for word, but for some reason is being, for some reason this thing is acting funny and I can't pull up what I need to pull up. But either way it go, take my word. Just take my word for it. Take my word. Take my word for it. But yeah, that was essentially the reason why. That was essentially the reason why, and I always wanted to know what was the deal or why or how he was able to get off on that one, but that was the reason why. That was essentially the reason why he was. The jury realized they couldn't 100% say that was him. They couldn't 100. I mean, I don't know. They couldn't 100% say that was a girl. I think here it is right here. In 2008, Jamie Mitty was picked as a foreman of the jury that would rule whether R. Kelly was guilty of child pornography charge. Yep, this is it. When it came time to deliberate, Mitty, the first juror, recalls thinking he didn't know how to run the proceedings. He decided to have a group have the group vote once an hour so he could track shifting opinions. The trial hinged around a 27-minute sex tape Kelly had allegedly made with his teenage goddaughter. Okay. Initially, yeah, I don't know why they call it his goddaughter. That just makes it more nasty. But that's unnecessary. That was, I mean, whatever. Anyway, initially the group jury was divided about the clip. It was probably six. It was probably 6-6, 7-5, fairly even split, almost. I mean, amongst guilty and non-guilty. Mitty remembers now, but he continues when he realized that we had to key in on the fact of, is the person in the video the alleged victim? We realized we couldn't say that beyond a reasonable doubt. It pretty quickly moved to a unanimous decision. Kelly was acquitted. So again, that was clearly him in the video, but they couldn't clearly charge him up with that one because they couldn't 100% say that the same victim that's in question here, they couldn't 100% say that was the same person. They couldn't 100% say that was the same person. So they had to let him go. So Kelly is acquitted on all counts in the child pornography case, and the jury deliberates for less than a full day. The singer and his former wife, Andrea, they filed a divorce. This is 2009. And so then he had to lay low. So 2009, that became the time. He was kind of under the radar for a while after that. After that, he was kind of under the radar. What I mean by under the radar, he was doing R. Kelly concert playing in the background. This was around the time when if you look at any R. Kelly concert around that time, all the background dancers, all the girls dancing, twerking on stage. I mean, before he used to have young looking girls on stage, man. After he beat those child pornography case charges, the whole sex tape and everything, them background dancers got old as hell, man. They all them background dancers, they was looking 45 years old. He wasn't taking no chances. He was laying low for a little bit, at least publicly. Yeah, some old ass background dancers. He wasn't taking no chances. He was trying to lay low for a little bit. But where we at? The singer and former wife Andrea confirmed the divorce. Derogatus, who allegedly who who had dodgedly reported on Kelly for years, publishes an expose in BuzzFeed News. This is when they started ramping everything back up in 2017 because he was floating under the radar. All the stuff that he had been doing, it had died down, and he was just making music. He was just making music and doing his thing, and everything had kind of died down. This is the moment in the game right here. Now, this is the moment in the game where a lot of the chicks that was, living off the gravy train, parents and minors and all, but a lot of them were of age. A lot of them that was living off that gravy train started to run out. The gravy train started to run out, and they started ramping things back up. The Me Too movement happened. They started pulling up old charges on everybody. And then all those R. Kelly chicks was like, wait a minute, wait. When we were, getting paid money by R. Kelly, our parents was in on it. We was all getting money. We was all had Gucci and gold and everything everywhere. Wait a minute. I just realized we were victims, weren't we? Yeah, we were victims, right? Yeah. And then that's when they started trying. That's when they like, hey, we need to get this thing back rolling. And that customary $250,000 settle out of court buyout thing that he was able to pay people back then, it was like he wasn't able to pay that. I suppose he wasn't able to pay that. I'm going to play a clip of one of his former lawyers talking how he said it was a moment when R. Kelly was living when he met R. Kelly. This was like mid swing of his career. He was living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Didn't really have money like that, like everybody thought, because he said, he basically pointed out R. Kelly was, kind of dumb, made some stupid decisions, and people, taking from him, robbing him. Not well, I guess legally robbing him. I don't know, bad contracts. I don't know exactly what the deal was, but they basically were saying he didn't have money like that. So after time went by, he wasn't able to just pay everybody they shut up money. Wasn't able to pay everybody they shut up money. He said they published an expose in BuzzFeed called "Inside the Pied Piper of R&B Coat." Now, this is what they're trying to do. They started ramping, trying to ratchet it up to put it in coat territory. Try to put it in coat. I remember, I forgot who the rapper was. He had like 17. I don't know. It might have been over 20, like 28 girls who all like linked up. I mean, he got them all together. They all got his name tattooed on them. He had bunk beds in their house. This is some rapper. Had like 28 girls living in the same house in bunk beds, and all of them got a tattoo of him, on their body somewhere. You would say something like that as a coat, but again, those are all consenting people. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of the charges, a lot of the things that are being brought out here, I mean, they're highlighting the ones where it was a underage person, and like I said, you do that, you deserve to go to jail. I mean, just is what it is. The law is the law is the law. You do that, you deserve to go to jail. He was beating the charges, but a lot of this stuff was consensual sex between people of legal age. And that's where they really get into the bull. That's sort of like that Jesse Lee Peterson thing, where he was guilty of being an anti-gay Republican, but they tried to make him out to be a predator, and that was like, going too far with it. Some of this stuff wasn't exactly, predatory in that sense. Some of it was, consensual sex between consenting adults. But they said that, he was, it was coercion and he was forceful and it was that. We're about to get into that. So they made the expose on BuzzFeed called "Inside the Pied Piper R&B Coat." The article details claims from parents who say Kelly brainwashed their daughters and kept them in an abusive coat. Keep in mind, if a daughter was underage, he couldn't do that. You can just come down there and get your kids legally. If your daughter was an adult, you couldn't go down there and get your kids legally. So that's why they're saying brainwashed. And that's what the women are saying. We were brainwashed and manipulated into staying with this man. But I really see it not that much different from the rapper that I talked about, where he had the girls essentially getting living in bunk beds in a house and getting his name tattooed on him. I see it not that much different from that, provided everybody was of legal age. And that's what we're getting into the realm of, where he started messing with people of legal age. In the wake of the explosive report, activists and social media users kickstart the hashtag Mute Artelli campaign, advocating for boycotts of his discography. In 2005-2017, the New York Times publishes the first of its investigations of movie producer Harvey Weinstein. The article helps inspire a wider reckoning with sexual harassment and assault in entertainment and other industries. This is when the Me Too got in full swing. April 2018, the victims of advocacy group Time's Up and others associated with the broader hashtag Me Too movement call for deeper investigation into R. Kelly's alleged behavior. In response, R. Kelly's representative said, "Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, that was Blueface. I couldn't think of the rapper's name because I don't be knowing these. He said he's not completely illiterate, folks. He can read enough. He he can read enough to misspell stuff. No, I knew y'all couldn't see what I was reading. I mean, I kind of knew. I mean, I figured I would, I wanted myself more visible. I just wanted y'all to know I was reading something. But I'll put the article. I put all the articles in the chat room and in the description. But I wasn't really concerned about whether or not y'all could see what I was reading, because I know y'all trust me. I wouldn't lie to you. But Blueface is a rapper that got a bunch of chicks to get his name tattooed on him. They do stuff like that. Like it'd be a lot of people having their own little Hugh Hefner type thing going on, where they got a bunch of women living with them, and those women do get paid. And those women do have rules, regulations, and restrictions. Just like Hugh Hefner's girls, they weren't allowed to go to parties. They weren't allowed to be out dating anybody. They weren't allowed to do any drugs. They weren't allowed to I forgot. It was a number of things that they weren't allowed to do that some would interpret as controlling. It was places they weren't allowed to go and things they weren't allowed to do because his mind was, hey, I got a brand, I got a reputation. I can't have my girls out there looking stupid. So no, if you're gonna live here, I'm gonna pay you to live here, but you got to be here. This is where you're at. I got enough activities and festivities and all kind of stuff going on here to where this is where you're at. This is where you're at. No, you can't just be out running the streets. And when you do go out into the streets, it is supervised. It is supervised. I have my people go with you and take you. Want to go around your family, they will drive you there, and they will be there in a wait for you to, whenever you're done, they will drive you back here. He basically, his girls had like Secret Service following him around. Like, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it was. That's how a lot of rich men that have a rostrum of women that live in their mansion. That's how a lot of them operate, and they get paid and compensated and reimbursed handsomely for it. But they get reimbursed quite well. The women involved, and when they age out of the program, they try to say that it was some kind of abuse. They try to say it was some kind of abuse, even though they essentially got to live in a mansion and got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to, if you got if you got 20 women living with him, how many times, once a week you may have sex with them? You got paid $200,000 a year to have sex with an old man, maybe once a week, while living in his mansion with no expenses. I think she got the better. I think the girls that lived in the mansion got the better end of that deal. And if from 20 to 25 they did that, and then he sent them on their way and replaced them with another 20-year-old. I mean, probably another 17, another 16-year-old. But he replaced them with another 20-year-old, and that is what it is. It is what it is. But they age out, and now it's abuse. They age out the program, and now it's abuse. That's what essentially happens here. Now, in R. Kelly's case, I can't restate this enough. He was literally engaging in sexual acts. We can kind of say allegedly, but it's enough evidence to where we ain't got to put the allegedly on there. He was engaging. He engaged in some sexual acts with some people who was legit underage, 15 years old. Even in the state of Michigan, in the states that have 16 years old being the thing, they being the age, you illegal in the most lenient of states. You're illegal in the most lenient of states, and he was engaging in that, but he was paying them off. He's paying off the family $250,000 a pop. Whenever they had a problem with it, because they didn't have a problem with it, but whenever they got to the point where they had a problem with it, $250,000 a pop. I went through the whole timeline. If he just came in, you can go rewind it. I went through the whole timeline. We all the way up to 2018, about to get into the recent events. But went through the whole timeline. That was pretty much the routine. He dropped $250,000 to pay them off. That was pretty much the routine. May 10, 2018, Spotify, the biggest streaming music service in America, removes R. Kelly music from its playlist as part of the new hate content and hateful conduct policy. Okay. Apple and Pandora announces shortly after that they will stop promoting his songs. The same month, 20-year-old Faith Rogers files a lawsuit accusing Kelly of sexual battery, mental and verbal abuse. All right. Notice they're not saying sex with a minor right there. Notice they're not saying sex with a minor. The same month, 20-year-old Faith Rogers files a lawsuit accusing R. Kelly of sexual battery, mental and verbal abuse. See, now they're going that sexual battery, mental and verbal abuse route, because if she's not underage, they can't get him on the statutory rape or sexual, assault. So they basically got to say that, he was they basically got to charge him up with being mean at this point. He was a big meanie. Like that. That's basically what they're charging him up with. It was consensual. It was consensual sex. It was consensual sex, but he was a big meanie. That's basically what I'm hearing right there, accusing Kelly of sexual battery, mental and verbal abuse, and okay, I didn't and knowingly giving her herpes. That is against the law, but nobody ever that is against the law, but nobody ever gets charged with that. No, that law very rarely gets used. I'm going to show a video to prove that in a second. The singer's representatives declined to comment to NBC News after Rogers appears at a January 2019 news conference, but his lawyers continue to insist that their client has done nothing wrong. January 2019, the cable channel Lifetime premieres. Now we all the way up to this. Surviving R. Kelly, a documentary series that chronicles all the allegations against the singer, all the allegations against the singer. I put accusations in the title. I should have put allegations. No, we gonna leave it at accusations. Little side note for me, don't worry. I may change that. But the cable channel Lifetime premieres Surviving R. Kelly, a documentary series that chronicles all the allegations against the singer and features interviews with several of the accusers. The documentary puts the singer's behavior in the national spotlight again. Now, it is very much worth pointing out. It's very much worth pointing out. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for that documentary. All that documentary did is just drummed up all the court of public opinion to just basically, highlight a lot of the actual illegal stuff that he's done, but then it was a lot of not illegal stuff that was happening that, sound bad, but it wasn't illegal. It was a lot of not illegal stuff that was happening that was reported as if it was illegal. Okay, the documentary puts the singer's behavior in the national spotlight. Kelly is arrested and charged in Chicago with 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse. Kelly's attorney later enters not guilty pleas, and the singer is released from jail March 6, 2019. In an interview with Gayle King, CBS, Kelly forcefully denies the sexual abuse charges against him. I didn't do this stuff, he said. This is not me. And that's the famous, I'm fighting for my life. And that takes us back to that Bill Cosby Instagram post that I posted at the beginning, where Bill Cosby was like, after 2 years and 10 months of fighting for my life, he was basically stunting that I'm free, and this shit that's happening to R. Kelly ain't happening to me. But anyway, Kelly is charged with 11 new sex-related counts in Chicago. Kelly is indicted by a federal grand jury in Chicago on 13 counts. This is 2019, July 11th, 2019. Kelly is indicted by a federal grand jury in Chicago on 13 counts, including child pornography, enticement of a minor, and obstruction of justice. In a separate indictment announced the same day, federal prosecutors in New York charged Kelly with one count of, this is where it gets goofy, one count of racketeering and 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, a law that bars transporting anybody across state lines for prostitution. All right. That's where I said that's where it gets goofy. And that right there, that's what he's charged with. Out of all the stuff that he did, that he was able to weasel his way out of, or pay people off, or do whatever, whatever it was he was able to do or pull off, or to beat the charges. That was the one. That was it right there. That was the one. That was it right there. That's what they got him on. That's what they got him on. And we're about to explain exactly what that is. We're about to go through and explain exactly what that is in a separate indictment announced the same day. Federal prosecutors in New York charged Kelly with 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, a law that bars transporting anybody across state lines for prostitution. He is arrested in Chicago while walking his dog. In 2019, Kelly pleads not guilty to federal charges. August 5th, 2019, he is charged in Minnesota with prostitution and with he is he is charged in Minnesota with prostitution and solicitation. Counts related to allegations that he invited a teenage girl to a hotel room in 2001 and paid $200 to dance and paid her $200. I'm sorry, $200 to dance naked with him. In response to a request for comment, Kelly's lawyer Steve Greenberg says, "Frankly, I'm not sure I could say anything without swearing." He called the charges an abuse of process, um, prosecutorial discretion, and perversion of the statute of limitations. October 2019, Kelly is denied bail in the New York sex abuse case. March 5th, 2020, the singer pleads not guilty in Chicago to an updated federal indictment that includes child pornography charges and allegations pertaining to a new accuser. August 2021, Kelly's sex trafficking trial begins. After COVID-related postponements, the prosecutors present the singer as a serial sex predator, while his defense lawyers describe his accusers as groupies who tried to take advantage of his fame and exploit the Me Too movement. Kelly is found guilty in New York of 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, a law bars the transport of people across state lines for any immoral purpose. That's what the Mann Act is. That's what the Mann Act is. So here's the deal. Here's the deal with that. When it comes to that, Mann Act, transporting somebody across lines for any immoral purpose, this is what they're essentially saying. And the girl, what was her name? It had her name. I apologize. For not being properly organized. She's one of the faces that y'all see in the reports when y'all see on the news when they got some of the victims speaking. She's the one, looked like she was Hispanic, Latino, or something like that. At least she had that. That was, damn it. All right, I can't find that. I apologize for being unorganized. But basically, it was a situation like this. I'm gonna play something that's gonna prove it. That Mann Act, that traveling people across state lines for immoral acts. Basically, like, she was 17, which means she was legal in like Illinois. You know, it was like a state. She was legal, and they were dating. And I think he took her to the Grammys with her. he took her to the Grammys with him, and then she became illegal over there. And she alleges that, well, we did have sex over there. Like, that's part of the Mann Act. He took somebody across state lines for illegal purposes. Like that's what they're talking about when they say the Mann Act. That's literally what they're talking about. They're talking about people that he met that was a certain age, and he basically, if you legally, because for example, in Michigan you can have a 16, you could be a grown ass man with a 16-year-old girlfriend who can actually consent in Michigan. All right. In the event that you go traveling with her, you're breaking the law. That's what they got him on. That's what they got him on. That's why I say the stuff that they got him on is some shaky stuff, some old laws that they really don't even use. The Mann Act was applied to Jack Johnson over a 100 years because he was with a white woman. Yeah, I mean that was basically he didn't break the law technically by being with her, but if you use some odd wording of the Mann Act, you can find somebody guilty of something, and that's really what it was because he beat all the other charges. That's where the sex trafficking comes in because sex trafficking is defined as if you get somebody from somewhere and then you move them, take them somewhere else for sex purposes. That's where the trafficking comes in. That's literally what trafficking is. Like that's how they're getting him for sex trafficking. Women or young the what he's get the ones that he's getting charged with that he's going to jail for, they were of legal age. They're lumping that into sex trafficking. Like I said, all the actual illegal stuff that he did, he beat the charges, he settled out of court, he did what he had to do, you know. He did what he had to do to beat the charges. That stuff was worthy of going to jail, but he somehow managed to beat the charges. That's what was happening. He was beating the charges. He was paying off people. He was doing what he had to do. He was working the legal system. He's doing what rich men do. They use their money to work, manipulate the legal system. That's what he was doing. That's essentially what he was doing. But that's where that Mann Act and that trafficking come in. Feminine Melanin says he took some girls to Canada until they started stating harder that they had to be 16 rather than 14. He took some girls to Canada until they started stating harder that they had to be 16 rather than 14. He said Elijah Muhammad was correct when he said that black women will be these devil's strongest weapon against black men. I don't even remember. No, I didn't know Elijah Muhammad said that. I didn't see nothing in my research that said that some of them were like 12, but that he did enough illegal stuff. He did enough illegal stuff to get locked up. What I'm saying is he figured out a way to beat it, and now the stuff that they're trying to get him on is nonsense. That's essentially my point. The stuff that they're getting him on is nonsense. That racketeering, like racketeering. But to Google racketeering to make sure we understand what racketeering is. Like the Mann Act racketeering. Okay, so what is racketeering? Racketeering is a type of criminal activity in which money is extorted from a victim by threat or force. That's not what he was doing. That right there is basically like the mob. Because right when I type in racketeering, I see pictures of old mob bosses. That's when the mob basically goes to you and you goes to your business and say, "Hey, you got a nice business here. I take for anything that happened to it." That's hey, I see your son walks to school every day. I'm gonna help make sure he gets there safe. Oh, I just need 15%. I just need 30% of your profits from the business. I make sure nothing happens to your business. I make sure little Timmy gets to school safe. You know, that's racketeering. Racketeering is a type of criminal activity in which money is extorted from a victim by threat or force. One of the most common forms of protection of this, one of the most common forms is the protection racket, in which a criminal entity causes a problem and sells protection against the problem. Like, yeah, that's essentially what racketeering is. You said I'm explaining extortion. No, that what I just described is the literal textbook definition of racketeering. I'm reading it. What is racketeering? Racketeering is a type of criminal activity in which money is extorted. Racketeering is extorting. Racketeering is extortion. But he wasn't. R. Kelly wasn't extorting anybody. If anything, he was being extorted. The only point that I'm making is the stuff that they got him on is nonsense. That's really, truly the only point that I'm making is that the stuff that they got him on was absolute utter nonsense. is really no way around that. He did enough stuff to get locked up. I say he did enough stuff to get comfortably locked up for 30 years. He figured out a way to beat those charges. They said, nope, we're not going to let that ride. We're going to find something that he's guilty of. So they went on and got him. Said he's racketeering, like he's the one extorting money. No, he's the one paying money to get people to shut up, or paying money to get people to comply. He's paying for people's compliance. Like that's legit what he's doing. That's legit what he's been doing. In this country, we got laws where, people settle out of court. That's what he was doing. People settle out of court all the time because that's pretty much how it goes. That's how they work the system. And he worked the system for a long time, and he worked the system pretty well. And he worked the system quite well to the point to where he was basically got away scot-free. Now, this is a good video. This is a good video right here that really breaks down a lot of it. I do want to get this video on deck. Give me a second. Now, I'm not in the camp that's, shedding a tear or lighting a candle for R. Kelly. I'm not in the camp. He been clowning. He been no doubt clowning for years. But from a pure legal standpoint, what they got him on is some nonsense. Before the billions in the building, what's up? What's going on? Saying one says, Bernard Riley, Kelly is going to be salty. I don't know if he still got funds to be petty like this, but you might want to make sure that video in the background isn't a performance. No, it is a performance. Listen, if this get taken down, it get taken down. I don't care. I don't really care. I was probably going to take it down anyway. There's already a potential chance I was going to take it down. But yeah. And I've had full-blown movies. I had Jurassic Park playing in the background one time. So I'll be having movies in the background. It don't matter. Racketeering is any organized illegal activity. The numbers racket, the prostitution racket, is not always threatening or violence. Okay. What is racketeering? Racketeering is a type of criminal activity in which money is extorted from a victim by threat or violence. That's the example that I got. Here it says, what is an example of racketeering? Federal crimes of racketeering include bribery. Okay. I guess you can you probably can't get him with bribery. But is he really? I don't know. I don't know if that falls under bribing. Gambling offenses, money laundering, obstructing justice, or a criminal investigation. I mean, he very loosely and vaguely at best fall under racketeering. Said $5 to keep the stream up. Or just become a Patreon. Because when I take them down, I normally send them right to Patreon or members only. So for those who want to see the stream after it's gone. Let's go ahead and get into this one. This was definitely a good one that breaks it down. This is one of his former lawyers. Not her, the guy she's interviewing. Let's go ahead and roll it.
R. Kelly and that sentencing that just took place in federal court in Brooklyn. R. Kelly, the R&B singer, sentenced to 30 years in prison. We've been telling you this And it happened just in the last hour or so. Victims, survivors speaking in court, addressing the court, saying some things that were very powerful about their experience with R. Kelly. And R. Kelly maintains that he didn't do anything wrong here. And somebody who knows R. Kelly well,
I'm gonna read, and just for making sure we get this right, I want to formally read the Mann Act. The Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, is a federal law that criminalizes the transportation of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose. So that's something that they don't use, and he didn't transport anybody for prostitution. He didn't do that. Debauchery, perhaps. See, that's some weird wording where they could make it to where even the women, a woman who's of age being transported, like if he meets somebody in Florida and then moves her to Chicago, and then they do a debaucherous act where he pees on her during sex, like that could fall under it for any other immoral purpose. Like they said, it was some stuff where he had a woman smearing feces on her. It's like some type of degrading sexual punishment for something. She had to smear feces on her face or something. Basically, nothing, not nothing that different from what we see in Ghetto Gaggers. It's like they do that type of shit on tape. Like damn. Like so that's where I'm saying is like they're getting him on very very shaky laws that could get applied in all kinds of weird ways. That's all I'm saying. The stuff that they got him on is shaky as hell. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying the stuff that they got to stick is some nonsense. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Dane C, he says, I agree with you're saying, Bernard, about what they got him on. The fact that Kelly had so many people testify shows sex tapes proves he's dumb. Yeah, I mean, it proves that he's been doing all kind of shit. It proves he's been doing all kind of ill shit from the start. It proves he's been doing all kind of ill shit from the start, but he's been working the system and paying people off. And the stuff that they got him on, it was a lot of it was consensual sex with grown women. Like if it was underage girls that they actually got him on, they would just say sex with underage girls and then just call it done. That's what he's guilty of. He's guilty of statutory rape. The reason that they just can't, the reason that that's not what they're charging him with, and they're charging him with stuff like the Mann Act and racketeering, it means that they had to reach. It means that they had to reach. I don't recommend you Googling that. If you honestly don't know what that is, I recommend you not Google it. You can Google Blueface. Don't Google the other one. I don't recommend that. But yeah. Yeah.
is Steve Greenberg. He is his former attorney. He actually withdrew from the case before the trial started, shortly, just weeks before the trial started in federal court last year. Steve, thank you so much for coming on and making time for us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. Your reaction, your thoughts on this 30-year sentence for R. Kelly, your former client.
Well, first of all, I still represent Robert on the state cases here in Illinois.
Okay,
so
I apologize.
Former attorney,
So sorry.
But I didn't do the New York case, and unfortunately, Robert has been plagued by poor choices about people for years. When he went with other counsel for the New York case, I think he made a poor decision because I don't think the court got the right flavor of the case. Look, this case, everyone has heard about R. Kelly and everyone says he abuses young women. In the case in New York, that wasn't what they prosecuted him for. They prosecuted him for transmitting herpes, for taking someone he lived with lawfully in Illinois to California, I believe to the Grammy Awards, and having sex with her there where it was considered underage sex. I have always thought that the New York prosecution was an abuse of what the law intended for a
You see how they're it's like they're reaching for loopholes. They're reaching for loopholes. A woman that, okay, I'd be careful not to just throw out the word woman. I mean, when we're talking about somebody under 18, but a legal, a person he could legally have sex with in Illinois who was 17. They traveled across state lines going to somewhere, as I believe he said he believes the Grammys. If she alleges that they had sex while there, she got him. And the woman in question who was doing that, her name was actually, I know I got her name on my phone because I had that pulled up. She was a main face. She was the main face that was calling it out. But she was his consensual girlfriend for 4 years. For 4 years. Had consensual sex with him for 4 years. But she's circling back saying, wait a minute, I was 17 that time we went to the Grammys. While we were at the Grammys in LA, we had sex. The legal age of consent in LA isn't 17. The legal age of consent in LA in California is that legal age of consent is 18. That means I was a victim, right? And they're getting him on stuff like that. They're getting him on stuff like that.
RICO case, and I think this sentence is just a further abuse of that. All of these people, when you drill down in the discovery, were perfectly happy with their Gucci stuff and their fancy dinners and their private jets and all that, and no one ever complained. They didn't even complain after R. Kelly broke up with them. They didn't complain till years later when it sort of became the thing to do and to dump on R. Kelly. So I think the sentence is just an abomination.
Well, Steve, some people would say, though, that that's part of the grooming process. Buying people Gucci, taking them on private jets, showing them this like jet set lifestyle that can, be part of that. I mean, we heard about things like this. We've heard about it in other cases, and
But let me interrupt you for a sec, okay? Because there wasn't, and no one said that he was grooming people in this case. Let me give you an example. There was a young lady that lived in Houston. She came up to New Jersey with her sister to see R. Kelly perform in concert. He took a liking to her. She went back to Houston. She came back voluntarily. He sent her plane ticket. She came back and she was very open. I wanted to be with this man. That's not grooming. Now, once you're with him, of course, he's a celebrity. He was a rock star. You're going to live that lifestyle. I mean, if he'd have said to somebody, look, I'm going to wear Versace clothes, but you have to wear Levi's and a t-shirt from the Gap because that's just how I am, they would have left him.
Well, so when was the last time?
You can't argue with that point. It looked like she wanted to argue with that point, but you really can't argue with that point. I mean, if a woman is getting with a rich man, she wants to live the rich lifestyle. Now they're saying he's using the rich lifestyle to force them to be there. But if they're not able to just flat out say, oh, she was 15 and that's why it was wrong, then they got to reach for reasons why it was wrong. Hence the racketeering and the Mann Act and all the other stuff that they pulling out. I can't stress enough. He did enough stuff to get locked up. He figured out a way to beat those charges. The stuff they got him on is nonsense.
Time you spoke to R. Kelly without, saying anything that's going to violate, attorney-client privilege.
Well, that's really not. I mean, I speak to him.
Okay, how's he doing?
He's doing terrible. He had his entire life taken out from beneath him. This is a man who really should be a billionaire, right? Sold more albums than Whitney Houston, more albums than Michael Jackson. And when I had first met him, he was living in a one-bedroom apartment that he rented because everybody has stolen from him over the years. Everyone has taken advantage of R. Kelly. Now, I understand that some of the choices he made in life are not such good choices. And that in the 90s, maybe he made choices that are now coming back to haunt him. And I think the case here in Chicago might be a little bit different factually than the case in New York. But the case in New York is really where people are capitalizing. All of these people went on this so-called documentary. All of them got wined and dined. Are we going to say the documentary people were grooming them? All of them.
Yeah, I like this guy. He's saying the documentary people went around and found everybody, any and everybody that ever had sex with R. Kelly, took them out, wined and dined them, and got them to sit down and tell a story and all of this. He said they groomed them into doing that.
Them benefited from dumping on R. Kelly, who's now going to sit in jail for years for what was 95% consensual sex.
Well, 95%, there's still 5% that wouldn't be, if that's what we're arguing here.
Well, no. I'm saying it's 95% consensual sex. There is a 5% of that case that had nothing to do with sex. There was the bribery charge that was in there. That wasn't a sex charge. So all of the predicate acts involved sexual acts except bribery.
So, Steve, it almost sounds like you're saying it just became the in thing to do.
This stuff, I can't stress it enough. The stuff that they got him on is consensual sex. It was consensual. That's what they got him on. Says no Michael far outsold R. Kelly. Thriller alone done that. Same with Whitney. Do the research. Well, that's what this dude said. This dude said he sold more than Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and everybody else. I don't know if that's true. I'm just going with it. I don't know. I don't care.
To accuse R. Kelly of sexual abuse. And transmitting herpes, that is a big deal. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. When you have a sexually transmitted disease, you have a duty to not spread it about and to inform partners of that. So I guess I'm just thinking, so you're thinking, you believe all of these accusers made it all up and just kind of jumped on the bandwagon with one another.
Well, I don't know that they made it all up, but let me, first of all, your sexually transmitted disease. He was prosecuted under a New York misdemeanor statute that had never been used to prosecute anybody. It had been on the.
Hey, do y'all hear weird static in the background?
Books since 1944. Lots of people have given people herpes. Lots of people have given people the clap since 1944, and no one was prosecuted on it. And they made it into a federal crime by.
You say consensual yet illegal sex. Okay, but if they were of age, the ones that they got him on, the ones that he's going to jail for, they were the racketeering and Mann Act stuff. These people were of age. He's not going to jail for having sex with the minor. That's not what he's going to jail for. It was illegal because of some weird interpretation of the Mann Act and racketeering law. It wasn't exactly racketeering. And the Mann Act is weird and vague at best. Meaning, basically, if I go to Texas and I meet a chick and I say, hey, come stay with me in Michigan, I have a mansion with like 20 women that live in there, and I make them wear high heels 24 hours a day, and they got to walk. They got to walk around naked in high heels 24 hours a day, and get peed on from time to time. If everybody consents to that, it's okay. But under some weird legal mumbo jumbo in the definition of the Mann Act, which states the Mann Act is a federal law that criminalizes the transportation of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution. He didn't prostitute anybody, or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose. So if they're defining having women who consent to stay with him, and they're doing weird sex acts while there, debaucherous sex acts while there, immoral sex acts while there, then it's illegal because he transported them. If he meet you in Florida, they move you to his mansion in Chicago, and you engage in some weird eyes wide shut sex acts like that. That's kind of what they got him for. That's kind of what they got him for. Again, I can't stress enough. This man is guilty of all kinds of shit. The stuff that they got him on is some nonsense. That's just the only thing I can say. The stuff that they got him on was some nonsense. Dane C says, remember, R. Kelly is an artist, songwriter, producer. He wrote, produced for. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. He probably. Okay, when you add up all the songs that he wrote, then yeah, he probably has sold more than everybody else. Yeah, I agree with that now. If you add up everything he wrote, he absolutely probably, yeah, it sounds believable now.
Claiming that he did it, he crossed state lines. He went to New Jersey. That's how the case ended back in 44. People have given people herpes. Lots of people have given people the clap since 1944, and no one was prosecuted on it. And they made it into a federal crime by claiming that he did it. He crossed state lines. He went to New Jersey. That's how the case ended up there. But
you see how they playing around with the law. A lot of people have given a lot of people all kind of STDs. He crossed state lines and did it. Therefore, it's falling under that Mann law of transporting transporting any woman for any type of debaucherous act. Like, yeah, that's what I mean by they're getting him on nonsense.
let's look at some of the other people. His former girlfriend, Azriel, who was very honest in when she testified, I will say, and she said, my mother sent me to a concert and said, you make this man fall in love with you, you're going to have his babies, you're going to be his girl, so on and so forth. They preyed on him. They preyed on him. And for them to now come to court and say they are victims is just being intellectually dishonest.
But so you're saying that R. Kelly's the victim here?
Absolutely.
Now, I wouldn't go that far to say he's the victim, because if I'm going to say that they volunteered, I'm going to have to say he volunteered too. I'm going to have to say it's no victims in that situation. Everybody volunteered. Everybody volunteered.
A 55-year-old multimillionaire is the victim?
Well, he's not the multimillionaire, but yes, I believe he is a victim of people who wanted the situation, were in this situation. No one complained about anything. That's what people forget. No one complained until agents and prosecutors and TV producers went out and found these people. Nobody had complained. They didn't complain to their friends. They didn't complain to their family. They didn't complain to the media.
Steve, what's next as far as the the Illinois case goes? So, what are you
Oh,
gonna do
wait. Hold on.
about-
Time out. Okay. The conversation about ghetto gaggers is going on for too long. Okay. I need y'all to change the subject. Okay. Need y'all to change the subject and move on. All I was saying is some of the debaucherous acts that they said he engaged in, it was some stuff where they said it was involving some feces, involving some pee, involving all kind of stuff. I was like, far as I'm concerned, it's no different from what they talk about that happens in ghetto gaggers. Right there, that's the end of the conversation. All right. That's it. That part of the conversation is over. We got to move on.
His next case is up in Chicago, and I'm trying to provide whatever assistance I can to his attorneys on that case. Obviously, they'll have to evaluate how they're going to move forward with that case after this sentence. I know that he's got very strong attorneys in New York. They wrote a wonderful post-trial motion. I think they're going to win on appeal because I don't think this is actually a RICO case. I don't think there was an enterprise that existed, which would invoke the statute of limitations then, and the case would have to be thrown out. The cases in state court in Illinois, we'll deal with them when they come up. We'll try every one of them and we'll prevail.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see on all of that. So, Steve Greenberg, I know you're
play this clip afterwards.
Well, believe us, we will archive it. We archive everything. We'll wait and see on all of that. Still very serious charges that your client faces, R. Kelly. Child porn charges. It doesn't get more serious than that. So we will wait and see. And we thank you for making time for us on this, what I'm sure is a very busy afternoon for you. Steve Greenberg, attorney.
All right, 140 people in the building. Hit the likes up. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Paul Game says Kelly is a poster child for Black women's claim of they not they. I like you put that. They not protecting us. Oh man. He says, this is chickens coming home to roost. R. Kelly signed the oath, payments come due. Now, even though I understand where you're coming from right there. The whole idea of metaphorically chickens coming home to roost. I don't like to speak in terms of metaphor and all of that when talking about actual legal stuff. But like I said, he did enough stuff to be locked up for a long time. He did enough stuff to get locked up for a long time. He been getting away with it. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so they figuring out any way they possibly can to get him. They figuring out any way they possibly can to get him. And it is what it is. And it is what it is. But the part that went by real fast in the tape, and I wanted the lady to say something to the guy when he was basically talking about how one of the moms of one of the girls basically said that, no, I want you to go down there, get with him, make that man fall in love with you, have his babies. We are all in on this. We are all in on this. And that was the situation with a lot of those circumstances. These women, not talking about the underage girls. I'm not talking about that type of stuff. That was the type of stuff that he did that. He paid people off. He should have been locked up for it, but he figured out a way to beat the system. He should have been locked up for it. He figured out a way to beat the system. Can't stress that enough. But these grown women who, when I guess they aged out of the program, and now they mad, now they got a problem. How the hell are you missing Ronaldo in that case? They should be locking up everybody who make adult movies. I know I did bring that up. I basically said that if he brings somebody in and they do and they travel somebody in for a debaucherous act of some sort. But if I'm pretty sure I said if you record it and make it into porn, then it's okay. It's literally okay. Porn, they fly people in regularly. They fly people in, they drive people in, they transport them in, they come in, they do the debaucherous sex act, but because they pay them and put it on tape, because R. Kelly do pay him. R. Kelly fly him in, he pay him, but he don't put it on tape. No, they start aging out a little before 20 Paul game. R. Kelly fly him in, he pay him, but he don't put it on tape, he don't produce it as porn, then they can say that it's a problem. See, that's the weird thing. That's where the laws get super weird, okay? Prostitution is illegal, okay? You have a woman, she come to your house, she has sex with you, you pay her, you just committed a legal act. You have a woman come to your house, she has sex with you, you pay her, but you recorded it and posted on Pornhub. Now it's legal. Why? Because it's porn. Make that make sense. Make that make sense somehow. Some way, somehow, make that make sense. It's all kinds of stuff that's just on some outright nonsense. All kinds of stuff that's on some outright nonsense. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on. OG, you look like you got a lot to say. You come on up here. I might wrap this bad boy up pretty soon because I do got things I need to take care of. So we'll see. But I may wrap this up. But OG, sound like you got a little bit to say, so I'll give you a chance to say a thing or three. But then we can wrap this up. Call this a early one. Uneducated lame is saying no. This might be an early one. This might be an early. This might be an early one. It's funny. So I just got a message from somebody tell me I look sleepy today. I am. That is accurate. I just received a message from someone informing me that I look really sleepy. But yeah, so we may wrap this one up quick. But give a brief chance and a brief opportunity for someone to come up and say something. I don't know what the hell OG said about sodomy. It says sodomy is still against the law, and you understand selling a couple states. How do you sell states? Selling a couple states, how people been brought up for that. Welcome, ABC people. What the hell is he talking about? Sodomy is still against the law, and you understand selling a couple states, how many people been brought up for that. Welcome, ABC people. Oh, okay. Talk about gay people. Okay. So you're talking about gay people going from state to state to perform sodomy. OG made a good point. I'm shocked. He said people going from state to state. Doing having gay sex. They're committing that same act. That's really my whole point. Not lighting a candle, shedding a tear for R. Kelly getting locked up, because like I said, the man committed a multitude of illegal acts that he beat. So if we're being strict to just the law, the law. If he beat the charges, he beat the charges. He get acquitted, he get acquitted. That's the law. Is what it is. We can draw that hard line in the sand. We can draw that absolute 100% hard line in the sand and say that man has done nothing wrong. Why? He got acquitted. That means he's innocent or he's not guilty. We can draw that hard line in the sand at any moment. We could draw that hard line in the sand. But the law is flexible and shaky because they can draw weird lines in the sand too and get you on racketeering or some Mann Act that makes no sense. Which means that if they want to get you, they can get you. And that's essentially what is happening right here with R. Kelly. But like I was saying, the part that got glossed over, and when the man was talking, one of his lawyers was talking, that they were simply saying that one of the moms of the people said, no, you're gonna, because he had met her. He had met her in one state, then he flew her out to another state. When he flew her out to the state where he was at, the mom said, you go down there, you make that man fall in love with you, you have his babies, the whole works and everything. So basically, the moms are in on it, the families are in on it. They say that they were held captive. He was doing something where he had some women, at least that's what they said in the documentary. There was some women locked in the room, trapped in the closet or whatever. He was having having women, in rooms and stuff like that. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, if they tried to nobody said that I tried to leave and he forcibly didn't allow me to leave. Nobody said I tried to leave and it was an army of men. It was guards waiting at the door that stopped me from leaving. Like all those people, they could have left. They were consenting to it. They would have rather been on R. Kelly's team, living in his house or his mansion under some weird rules, than to just go be with some regular Joe Smo dude. That's what they agreed to. That's what they agreed to. And so you really can't say nothing was wrong there. I don't like to go the argument, even though we do got to walk through that one. We do got to talk about it. I don't like to make the argument on, because I don't like to absolve him. If you're having sex with underage girls, because people, keep in mind, the stuff they got him on is not underage girls. But when you're having sex with underage girls, you as a man are breaking the law. I'm not going to even play around with that. You as a man are breaking the law. It just is what it is. Are the mamas in on it? Absolutely. Absolutely. The moms are in on it. When it came to that buyout, were the moms in on the buyout? Absolutely. Was it all a plan? Absolutely. Hence the reason he settled out of court and beat all of those charges from settling out of court. So he was free and clear. The Me Too movement, the court of public opinion, all of that moved the court to figure out a contrived way to get him locked up. That's essentially what happened. And it's not really no way around that one. Not really no way around that one. But and listen. Okay, this is something unrelated that I do. It's kind of related because Tory Lane's situation is coming up. Tory Lane's situation is coming up. And Meg Thee Stallion, I don't even want to talk about that. I don't even want to get into that because that would drag me on for longer. I'm gonna say that for another show. But we about to wrap this one up early. We about to wrap this one up quick. And I'm sorry, I think that was uneducated. Lame said no, don't end it early. But no, I'm about to end this one early. About to wrap this one up quick because I got things I need to do and things I need to take care of. So we about to get up out of here. But thank y'all everybody for coming on in. Like, share, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. Everybody who super chatted, do appreciate each and every one of you. I don't know if any cash apps came through, but and shout out to everybody who, yes, it's ending. It's ending. Go ahead and rewind it. Somebody says, damn, I'm late. But yes, it is ending. It is ending. I got things I got to do. Places I got to be. And so yeah, I gotta get out of here. So peace, everybody. We are out of here.